Unfortunately, on that day, my nan died. So the diary entry starts, Howard the Duck and Return of the Jedi, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And then I've had to scribble it out and go, oh God, Nan died. I am Caitlin Moran, author, columnist, screenwriter, North London's fourth most funny feminist, and this is My Life in Objects. And the first one is Rimmel Liquid Black Eyeliner. When I was growing up, my templates for womanhood there were two. It was a binary choice. You were either a humorless Dow feminist who never wore makeup and was not a fun person, or you were a broad or a dame from 1950s musicals and movies, and they all wore bright red lipstick. And I was absolutely convinced that I would need to wear lipstick in order to be a funny, brilliant broad, a dame, the kind of chick who gets things done and gets to bang Cary Grant. And I've spent my entire life trying to find a lipstick that would work. I love the idea of red lipstick. Here I will show you a collection of some of the lipsticks that I have collected over my life. Pot 1. Pot 2. Those are just the ones that I could find now. I have collected millions over the years. I've tried everything I can to be a broad or a dame that will wear red lipstick. And I finally realised about 5 years ago that I'm not a lipstick person. It's never going to work. The idea of adorning your mouth, however beautiful it may seem, will not work for me because this is where all the action happens. The idea of basically smearing this portal, which I use for smoking and drinking and talking and kissing and often falling onto if I'm drunk, and then smearing it with like an easily removable dye or pigment that will be smeared over my face like a clown within 30 seconds or just simply eaten off, is ridiculous. It's a completely impractical thing for someone as mouthy as I. And that was when I realised that the actual two kinds of women there are lipstick ladies and eyeliner ladies. If you're going to adorn anything on your face, make it your eye. If you put black eyeliner on your eyes, first of all, you make them bigger. Eyes are the windows to the soul. It makes you look more soulful. It makes you look more clever. And secondly, there's very little traffic on the eye. I'm never trying to put a cigarette in my eye. I'm not drinking through my eye. I'm not trying to get off with anyone with my eyes. If I put some makeup on here, it's going to stay here all day. These are a selection of my teenage diaries. I started them when I was 11 and I went right through to 16. There's a million reasons why you should keep a diary when you're a teenager. The first one is about your sense of self and your voice in your head. If you get a diary, a big book full of blank pages, and you're writing down every day what's happened to you, slowly your voice starts to develop on the page. You are talking to yourself. And you also do this brilliant temporal thing in space and time. When you go back and read through your diary from a year ago, you're aware of yourself as a younger person. And hopefully you feel mercy and pity towards that person who was a bit stupider than you are now. And then you'll start projecting into the future. And that's an incredibly grounding and reassuring thing to have. Thinking about yourself and communicating with yourself all the way through time and space. It basically makes you like the Doctor in Doctor Who. It's a good sci-fi tip for staying sane and strong all the way through your teenage years. So I've moved my desk. It's beautiful. I can see the television from all corners of the room, and I have a beautiful rain-broken crocus in a wine glass, which looks so pure that I can almost see a tiny Thumbelina hopping out, dressed in a thought and a whisper. When my sister found these diaries and would read out loud pretentious things like this, she would make little comments in the margins, like, well, as here we can see my sister has written, more shit poetry alert. And in a way that was a useful process. We were not a religious family, we didn't believe in God, but when you've got a sarcastic younger sister reading your diary and then making comments on it, it's a bit like being judged by a very angry Old Testament God. Whatever I did, my sister would sit in judgment of it in my diary, and there it is, captured forever. There's my original name there. I'm not actually Caitlin Moran. I'm actually Catherine Elizabeth Moran. But when I was 13, I read a book by Jilly Cooper where there was a character called Caitlin, and I was like, I want to be like her, because she was having sex with loads of like sexy jockeys. So that was when I changed my name. But that is my real name there. My Achilles heel is that I have an Achilles urethra. I suffer repeatedly from very bad cystitis. Now, there are two kind of groups of people who have cystitis. There are women who go, yeah, I've had cystitis, yeah, it hurts to pee a bit. And then there are people who go, I have cystitis and it's like death. It is so bad. It is the worst pain I've ever had. I would genuinely take childbirth over cystitis. That's the kind of cystitis I get, proper urethral tract infections. Yes, I'm saying urethral tract infections, feel my realness. And so for years I just suffered with this terrible thing. And then as I got into my 40s, this is how long it took, I finally realised what the cure for cystitis was, and it is twofold. The first one, and this is probably the most important information you'll ever be given other than register to vote and vote, is every time you have a shag, have a pee straight afterwards. Everything you see in films is wrong. They've finished having a shag and they're lying there and it's all chitty-chatty, and maybe they're drinking wine from a particularly big glass, and then maybe they'll be gossiping about the legal case because they're two sexy lawyers and they've just had a bang. You don't want to do any of that. Don't talk about legal cases. Definitely don't drink wine. The minute the sexing has finished, you say thank you. He says thank you, and then you get up and do a very big wee. I don't care how embarrassing it is. If you want to sing over the tinkling sound, absolutely feel free to do that. 20 seconds ago, he was sitting with his bum on your face and his balls draped over you like a nose bag. You can take the embarrassment of the tinkling sound, but cleanse out your bladder you must. Let all that pee go, or else you will get cystitis. And then the second thing is, as soon as you start to feel a twinge of cystitis, and anybody who has cystitis knows what that feeling is, you need to take one of these. You find them on the internet. It's called D-Mannose. They're super cheap. This entire bag is £7 and it's got like something like 120 tablets. There you go. I'm exaggerating. 120 tablets in it. And as soon as you feel a twinge, you just take one of these. They just dissolve in your mouth. They taste fairly pleasant, and it makes the twingy feeling go away. When it works for you, no need to thank me. Just send some love from your heart silently into the atmosphere. I will feel that. I'm here for you, sisters with damaged urethras. This is your saviour. This is my current laptop. It's an Apple Mac laptop, and I've always used Apple Macs. I bought my first Apple Mac laptop in 1992. This is my work. Everything is in here. I can just stick this into a rucksack and go anywhere and work anywhere. And of course now, since the invention of social media, this is also my social life. The explosion of social media coincided pretty much exactly with me getting pregnant and starting to have children, and so as a consequence I could not leave the house for a couple of years, because that's what happens when you're a mum. You never get to leave the house. But all my friends were in my laptop. I could simply go onto all these different sort of message boards in the beginning, and then Twitter was invented and Facebook. And most of the people who are my friends now are people that I got to meet through my laptop. This is the party we met at. We would talk to each other. And in the early days of being on the internet, I used to pretend to be a man. I pretended I was a man called Lord Venger, who wore a cape and lived in a cave and had one horn on his head. And I was on a couple of message boards, and I became a bit of a celebrity on these message boards as Lord Venger. And then one day I announced to all the people on this board that I was actually a woman. And one of the most sobering things that's ever happened to me happened to that point. Within 2 or 3 minutes, 2 or 3 of the men on that website, who I'd thought were my friends and used to laugh at my jokes, had Googled me because I'd announced my name, had seen a picture of me and started making jokes about how fat I was. And that was another one of those moments where you suddenly, all the way through your life as a woman, you sort of realise the layers of sexism that there are around you. And that was one of my big revelatory moments. When they thought I was a man, they thought I was awesome and they would hang out with me. As soon as they knew I was a woman, the first thing they wanted to do was see if they wanted to fuck me and whether they could basically bully me for how I looked. And it broke my heart at the time. It was a really big lesson to learn that the difference between communicating as a man and as a woman was this huge. But it was also one of the big sparks to make me write How to Be a Woman. I was like, okay, I'm living these experiments now. I need to write a book where we talk about this stuff and put it all out on a page. Because if it's just in my head, it's going to drive me crazy. I need to share this experience, put it down on paper, and have other women go, yeah, okay, I see what's going on there. That's proof, that's evidence. It's not that I'm crazy. The world is sexist and weird. Men do respond differently to men than women. So, this might look like a Sunpat peanut butter jar with a sell-by date of 1983 on the lid, filled with some stones. But what this actually is love. This was the present my brother Eddie, there's 8 of us and he's the 4th one down, gave me for my 10th birthday. And we were very poor. So we could never buy presents. You always had to make them. And this was the present he made me when he was 6. He just got a jar and he washed it out and he filled it with the prettiest stones that he could find in the garden. I think this is the thing of all the things that I'd be the most upset if I ever lost this. This is like my family in a nutshell. It's just like, we have no money, but we will make a thing. We will fill a jar with love. This is what this means. I'd be really scared to open it up. Shall I open it up and see what happens? This has not been opened since like 1985. Maybe like a demon will come out or something. Maybe a secret will come out. Maybe when I open it, there'll be like a whisper just going, he's not your real dad. You really were an adopted princess. Oh, you can still smell a faint trace of peanut butter. Love. P.S. You're not the best one. I'm Caitlin Moran. Thank you for watching My Life in Objects. What's this? I didn't leave that there. Someone's left that there. This is really embarrassing. But yes, I do have a book out now. It's called How to Be Famous. It's by Ebury. It's a dirty, funny, useful book, but I wouldn't have mentioned it. Someone has just left it here. I'll just put